So this morning I read an article on Vox that was by Rebecca Jennings. The article is called "Everyone's a Sellout Now," and I can't stop thinking about it, so I guess we just gotta talk about it for a second to get it out of my head and just in there so that I can get on with my day. Okay? Just as like a little background or whatever, I was very recently together with Fef Silvers, who also linked me to this article. Damn it. But yeah, together with Fef Silvers as the co-founders of the Association of Comic Creators, we were invited to a comics and concept art industry day at a local university. They were doing like a 3-year bachelor's degree in comics. Like, you can do that now. Amazing. Anyway, so during that time, I got to chat to a lot of students, which was great, but also kind of rough. I had put that in the back of my brain, and all of that just came to the forefront again when I read this article. I'm linking it below, so please do go and read it. If you are a creator online trying to, I don't know, survive, then take care, because the article is not optimistic. Also, just a general content warning for this little ramble. I'm gonna be reading out a few bits from this article and comment on it, so let's go. While big tech sites like Spotify claim they are democratizing culture, they instead demand artists engage in double the labor to make a fraction of what they would have made under the old model. That labor amounts to constant self-promotion in the form of cheap trend following, ever-changing posting strategies, and the nagging feeling that what you are really doing with your time is marketing, not art. Under the tyranny of algorithmic media distribution, artists, authors, anyone whose work concerns itself with what it means to be human now have to be entrepreneurs too. Yeah, I mean, this is something that I have been feeling for a long time. You come to the point where you are like, am I spending more time doing marketing, admin, self-promotion instead of, making comics and art, which is kind of like what I'm supposed to be doing? They mention it in the article as well, like, next thing you know, it's been 3 years and you've spent almost no time on your art. You're getting worse at it, but you're becoming a great marketer for a product which is less and less good. Oh god. This has really been just like, this article really just like punched me in the face. The system works great for record labels or publishing houses who can hand over the burden of marketing to the artists themselves. But that means, as Montgomery says, if you have absolutely no knowledge of video creation, good fucking luck. The labor of making TikToks, and if you want to reach the most people in the shortest amount of time, TikTok is pretty much the only place to go. Requires both tedium and skill. You've got to get used to the app's ever-evolving editing features, understand the culture of the platform, make yourself look presentable, but not too presentable, or risk coming off as inauthentic. Prepare for and practice what you're going to say, but again, not too much. Just right. Log on. And you've got to do it again and again and again, because according to every single influencer ever, the key to growing your audience is posting consistently. Maybe her students are seeing what older people don't want to. There is this sense of, how am I going to learn to engage in self-branding to monetize whatever my field of expertise is? She says of her students, young people are clamoring to learn about this, and a lot of them feel that the university is unable to provide it because of the distance between what their professors know and what's going on now. I mean, this is the thing that I had people who were chatting to me at the uni industry day about, like, how the fuck do I start? And like, how do I how do I do this? How do I put myself out there? Because everyone I got the vibe that people feel like they are kind of on their own. And that's not a nice feeling a lot of the time, especially if you're new. Like you're kind of stumbling into it and you don't even know like where to start. And the fact that students are feeling like they have to do all of this self-branding now, they have to get started now, is immediately, it doesn't make me feel good in terms of like them being allowed to fail and learn things, make ugly stuff, make shit art, make bad comics, make things that they're not meant to be trendy or aesthetic or whatever. I did get some questions about how does one comic outside of university degree? How does one start? What the fuck? I did mention it at one point, I think, that I was actually in the process of making a indie creator survival guide, which I believe, talked about multiple times in different videos where I've been like, yeah, I'm doing it. And it's true. I have a script for it, but every time I go back to it, I have to start over. Because the problem with the internet is, and if you are self-published or, if you're just your own thing, is that everything keeps changing. Like when I did the first version of the script, like I was talking about Twitter and Instagram at that point. I think I might have even mentioned Facebook. And now, obviously, personally, I don't use Facebook anymore at all. I don't use Twitter anymore. And I also don't use Instagram unless I have to, because I've found that Instagram is really bad for my mental health. So I'm just trying not to touch it. I'm also not touching TikTok because it is... my fried brain can't handle that. That is too Zoomer for me. I'm sorry. But yeah, that's a me problem. So whenever I sit down to try to do this guide, I feel like I have to start over. And honestly, the motivation to then make it just isn't there, because I'm like, part of me is just like, what's the point? It's all just gonna be completely moot in like 6 months, if that, because the internet changes so fast. And I feel like that's kind of the point for how things are now, where there is like this undercurrent of desperation now in how people are making their art, where it's just like everyone's trying to be seen because you're just drowning in all of the algorithms and everything. And it's just like, if only I can be seen, if only I can get more followers, then I can actually get somewhere. But in order for you to be seen, you have to then also create this whole thing of like marketing yourself and being like an entrepreneur as well as an artist. You have to have posting schedules. You have to have like all of these admin checklists and shit. And part of like being a creator is that a lot of the time creating stuff doesn't work under a schedule. Like creativity doesn't just kind of show up at 9 a.m. and then you sit there and you're creative until 5 or whatever, and then you go home and you're like, another day of good creating there. I fucking wish that I could just switch it on and off. But like part of what makes creativity and creating shit so unique and interesting is the fact that it is this beast that you can't really tame. In my experience, not yet at least. Trying to put all of that into this churning machine of like, please see me, capitalism in it. It can be such a killer, because like you're also then there constantly comparing yourself to other people, and you're also opening yourself up for criticism immediately from everyone, depending on where you are. Some people are just not ready for that. And a lot of people are not wanting to be creators to then also have to put themselves out there. They just want to be making stuff. Just talking to the students as well, I mean, I don't want to be overly cynical and overly negative, because I think that we shouldn't discourage people to make things, to create things right now or ever. It takes incredible bravery to do that. To actually sit down and make something out of nothing is amazing. Especially today, I feel like it is incredibly brave, because a lot of the time, if you want to make this into your career, you're also expected then to take all of the stuff that you've made and put it out on the internet for everyone to see. Because that's the point. You have to be seen by everyone all of the time. And for those of us who might not want to be perceived sometimes, or for example, if you struggle with certain things where you don't deal well with criticism of certain things, that can be absolutely devastating. It just makes me think about all of these people who want to make stuff, but they're absolutely terrified of putting it out online because they've seen what can happen. But it's also put out to them that is the only way to do it. The only way for you to become successful is to become viral. Who the fuck wants to go viral? Not me. Never. But yeah, that's like, if you want to be picked up by a publisher, you better go viral. That means that you have to make sure that you stick to these trends, or you, I don't know, create a new trend. And there's a lot of luck involved. It's like a casino now. Whereas even back in my day, 10 years ago. But yeah, when I started out, I was briefly on Facebook until I shut that down. And then I was on Twitter. And Twitter, only 9 years ago or so, was a completely different thing. I think that a lot of the reasons why I even have people who support me nowadays is because a lot of them found me on Twitter. And I fucking met my husband on Twitter, okay? Twitter was a great place back in the day. It was a different way of posting. And also I think that it sat with me well, because you may have noticed that I love talking. I can't help it. It's part of me. I don't mind being seen a lot of the time, or being on camera, as long as I'm the one making the thing. Otherwise, I'm fucking terrified. I'm also like an actual workaholic, but I am recovering. And I have to like constantly bring myself back so I don't overshare things. All of these things are excellent traits for social media shit. So back when I started on Twitter, I was there tweeting just tons of shit. And people started, following me for that, and following me for my art. And I do hope that the reason that I am able to do this for a living now, and hopefully in the future, is because of a combination of my comics and art being all right, and the fact that me as a person, so far, I seem to be palatable. There is no one else who does this for me. If I don't do my own self-promo, like even sitting here just talking to a camera on my own in a room with the dog sleeping over there wondering what the hell is going on, this is a form of self-promotion. It gives people a kind of an idea of who the person is, who they might actually want to look at their art of. Wait, that was terrible English. But you know what I mean. I think one of the reasons why I have been able to, back then, actually, I don't want to say make it, but you know what I mean, to actually do art on the internet for a living, is because of the combination of my art hopefully being okay, and me being able to work with how the internet was then. If I had started doing art now, today, I think I would be completely lost in the shuffle. And it's a terrifying thing to think about. But that's kind of what this article has brought out again. I've just been like, oh shit, this is what it's like. And it sucks. The barriers are much more hidden. You have to know how to present yourself and how to create visuals that are appealing. Not only that, but by doing so, you're exposing yourself to harassment and ridicule. It's harder for racial minorities, women, trans people, or other minoritized groups, Because if you're already vulnerable in one way or another, that can backfire, she adds. This is one of the things that people were talking about at the uni, that they are literally scared of putting themselves out there because they know that it can come and has come with harassment and ridicule in the past. So you have these people who have got so much to offer, but they either won't be seen because of all of the algorithmic horribleness, or even if they are seen and maybe they go viral or something, that virality, is that how you say it? It comes with all of this harassment and just awful stuff. I do feel for people who desperately want to create stuff, and especially if you make comic books, you want other people to read your comic, and if you're making webcomics, you want other people to read your webcomic. Of course you do. You created a story and you're like, please look at my story. But then you also have the please look at my story, but don't say anything. Or, say things, but I can't look at it. I can't see what you're saying, because if you say anything, I'm going to be swayed by it immediately and feel fucking awful. When I've had people comment on my stories and comment on what they would change and stuff, or anything, I immediately go, in my head, yes, you're right, I should change everything. Yes, you're right, my artwork is shit. My story is shit. Oh, God. And I'll just spiral, which is really bad. But I have learned, and I'm still learning, but I have learned through the years to literally step away from, I have to have someone else read any criticism or anything, because I can't deal with it. And imagine if I didn't have someone who helped me with that. I'd be fucked. Is the labour or self-promotion making art worse? It's sort of impossible to argue this. The internet has abetted the creation and exposure of infinitely more art than ever before in human history. But with less separation between art and commerce, Montgomery says, there's some self-censorship that happens. If you're a little too knowledgeable about PR, you start to become way too aware of things like posting schedules, and it's impossible to be punk anymore. Yeah. But also, there's some self-censorship that happens. Oh yeah, absolutely. I always do that. I've gotten a bit better about relaxing, again, especially since leaving the more traditional social medias. But obviously there's still censorship that happens there, and how you always think about how you come across to other people, because you don't want to make people feel uncomfortable. But you also then have to post consistently. Some people have proper schedules for stuff. I don't think I could ever really stick to a proper schedule, even on my Twitch, which is more fun. I tended to have sort of a schedule, but everyone knows it's a little bit she'll go live when she goes live. It tends to be around 11, maybe. But yeah, the fact that I was talking about how the internet was different just 6 years ago, I feel like the internet will also be different 6 years from now. And although I am incredibly cynical, and I think probably a lot of the time whenever I talk about promoting or whatever, or capitalism or all that stuff, I probably do come off as very negative, but I do have hope still in this crumpled heart. I do have hope. I actually watched a video yesterday, I think, by Tech Alter. The video itself was on how the open internet became how that became a thing, and how everything is now turning into walled gardens and looking at the kind of the future. So it is still going through a lot of the stuff that is in the article as well, where it's just you gotta be on these little platforms and they're all little walled shit shows. It also goes through how we in the future, how we might be able to open the internet up again and actually allow for people to become more creative as a result. Maybe I have to believe that there is a solution to this, because I don't think that the way things are going right now, I feel like they are just getting worse, and it feels like everything is just speeding up to become more and more like competition between people on the internet, and it's all like trends are just cycling through within like a few hours. It feels mental to me, but I feel like there are solutions, or at least options that are becoming more valid. I know that right now Mastodon is not really for everyone because it is very nerdy, it is very clunky, and the Tech Alter guy also talks about how the fact that these spaces are still very nerdy. I have found that actually going over to like the Fedi place has been really good for me personally, but I also totally understand that place is really not for everyone right now. It might not be for everyone ever, but it is an option for people, and the more people populate it in the future, I think the better it's gonna get. And right now you can even see a lot of artists on there, and there is a lot. Anyway, I'm rambling. Fucking hell. A lot of stuff is broken, she says, and nothing's going to fix itself. Everybody needs to be proactive and figure out a way forward. Of course, that's challenging, but I don't think the answer is to just throw your arms up and go, well, it's just what it is. I'm not an it is what it is person. I want to figure out how to make it better, or how to make it at least more fulfilling for me as a human being in my one God-given life. I feel this in my bones. This is why I'm very cynical, but at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, this is the only option forever. We're all fucked, aren't we? Even though I do feel like we're all fucked, I will still try things. This is why I feel like the Fedi stuff, although I know it's cringy and nerdy for a lot of people, I feel like that could be one way to change things. So that's why I keep talking about it, and that's why I've made a couple of videos about it. That's why I keep mentioning it. Because I do feel like that might be one way to claw back some of what has been taken. To claw back some humanity, I suppose. So yeah, I will forever try to find a solution, because I don't want other, like, newer people coming into the industry, especially coming into comics, I don't want them to have to jump through the same hoops I had to jump through. I'm not one of those people who's like, in order for you to be welcome in this industry or whatever, you have to suffer as much as all the other people suffered, otherwise you're not valid or whatever. Just because I had to walk through fire, you must also walk through the fire, otherwise you are not a real artist. No. You should not have to go through burnout to be an artist. That's bad. And I think that if we can share with each other ways to, hopefully in the future, make it better and easier to be creative on the internet, and be creative as a person, not just on the internet, but like maybe even everywhere. That would be lovely. So I will, even though I am very critical here a lot of the time, and I am quite negative when it comes to a lot of platforms and stuff, it is because I care about this on a very deep level, and I want things to get better. You can see this tension play out in the rise of day in my life videos, where authors and artists film themselves throughout their days and edit them into short TikToks or reels, or just into like full-on YouTube videos. Despite the fact that for most people, the act of writing looks very boring, author content creators succeed by making the visually uninteresting labor of typing on a laptop worthwhile to watch. Yeah. Yeah, I only remembered this morning after I read this article. I made a day in the life of like a trash artist or something. I think it was 5 or 6 years ago. And it is literally just for like 2 minutes, getting up, working, and then like saying hello to my my amazing studio pet Ruffles, R.I.P. Ruffles, and then going out briefly to touch grass, then coming inside again, working, eating and working at the same time, then having like a ready meal with my husband, and then going back to work and then sleeping. And I mean, I think that I did manage to make that video quite funny, maybe, because people seem to like it at least. But if you peel away that's such a depressing video, right? That's not good. The fact that I that I feel the need to, on a daily basis, eat by my desk and work while I'm eating, and then, even in the evening just before bed I'm still working. That's not healthy. And I'm saying this as someone who's literally eating my fucking breakfast at my fucking table still. I have problems. But yeah, sorry, back to the thing. You'll see a lot of cottagecore-esque videos where the writer will sip tea by the fireplace against the soundtrack of Wes Anderson, or wake up in a forest cabin and read by a river, or women like this Oxford University student who dresses up like literary characters and films herself working on her novel. Videos like these emulate the romantic ideal of solitary genius artistry, evoking a time when writing was seen as a more pure or quaint profession, yet what they best represent is the current state of art, where artists must skillfully package themselves as products for buyers to consume. If I were to do an actual day in my life video now, spoiler alert, I actually tried to do it. I filmed my day, but then I was gonna sit down and edit it, and I was just like, I'm not feeling this. And then I promptly forgot about it, and then I was gonna go and sit down and do it again. And I was like, no, I can't do this. This doesn't feel right. But yeah, if I were to actually do it, it would be an incredibly boring video. I'm gonna be honest with you. A lot of my art, the making of my comics, is not fun to watch unless you're into the 1 hour unedited videos of me just working, no cuts, no background music, just I flick this camera on and then we work together for an hour, no talking, no nothing. Unless you're into that, it's incredibly boring. It's not aesthetic. Like doing the work, you shouldn't, what I'm trying to say is like, you shouldn't have to make you doing the work into like a promo piece itself of you. I feel like what happened to us just being allowed to sit down and actually get into it and work, and not constantly feel like we have to have the camera on or like whatever to show off how we are working so that it looks like we are worthy of attention. It's, as you can tell, this article really fucked me up. Yeah, the point I wanted to kind of get from this ramble was, well, first of all, go and read the article, and also if you want to, go and watch that video by TechAltar about the internet. It's 20 minutes longish. And the other thing is, if you're someone who is a creator of comics or art, I think that you just choosing to make something is amazing. Genuinely, I think that is an incredible thing to do. Even if whatever you make doesn't get a lot of likes or whatever, as long as you as a person feel like you are getting something out of you making the thing, I feel like that should be enough. And I know that it's more complicated than that. Like, if you want to make a living from it, yada yada. But like, if you push that aside for a bit, I feel like art shouldn't just be that. Like, I feel like you making something is really cool. And I really hope that we don't lose track of that when we get into this big churning machine that is the internet algorithm and the horrible capitalist shit show that we are in right now. Just stopping to take yourself out of it, to try to remember why you're making the art in the first place. Remember the fun. I think that is the most important thing. And for me personally, I am going to be taking some time to practice things, learn things, because I have not taken time to actually practice my craft in a while, a long time. And I need to sit down and just experiment with stuff, not for work or anything else, but just for me. So that's what I'm gonna do, because I feel like I've got a bunch of like art supplies here and over there that you can't really see, that I never use because I don't have time. But I'm gonna try to make time for me to remember what it's like to be an artist that doesn't have to sit on the internet all of the time and be like, Please notice me, senpai. I'm fucking dying here. Please notice him. He's fucking dying here. He's not. He just drank water. Right, anyway. Okay, I'm gonna go now. I don't know what the point of this was. Stay safe out there. I'm gonna have to make myself a new coffee because this is cold. And I'm going to treat myself and make myself a nice Rustlers for breakfast. Because this is now also stone cold and hard. Because I have talked for that long. At least I got this shit out of my head now so I can actually focus. Okay, cool. I'll see you later. Bye!